South Carolina game is in the books, and now it's time to get ready for Tennessee. Yeah, it's Tennessee week. Look, we can get into everything that happened against the Gamecocks, but it's time to think about the third Saturday in October. This is one of the big three rivalry games that Bama has on the schedule every single year. So we'll talk about that. Where's Bama in the polls? What does that mean? How big is this showdown? All that more right here on the original Bama Football Tailgate Show. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Thumbs up. Let's get this thing started. Roll Tide, everybody. Roll Tide, and here we go. It's the beginning of the third Saturday in October matchup between Alabama and Tennessee. This is the game when Nick Saban came in. You know, Alabama won a little bit, but they weren't dominant. And then since then, for the first time in forever, I mean, never like this, Alabama has absolutely destroyed Tennessee, winning 16 of 17 games. And the game that they lost was in Knoxville. Not this year, not last year, but the year before that. And it was some of the most fishy officiating that I ever saw, to the point where I don't care if Alabama loses, it doesn't matter to me. There were so many weird calls in that game. Tennessee did a lot of things right. They were a great football team, but the Kool-Aid interception flag and some of the other stuff that happened really left you shaking your head and saying, it didn't smell right. With that said, it's going to be a ruckus scene. It is I think one of the best college football stadiums to go to for a game. I love the city of Knoxville. I have nothing but respect for Tennessee. They're a fun team to watch, and they're dangerous. And Alabama and Tennessee have really one of the best rivalries in college football, and it's one of the reasons that people love college football. The sport was built on games like this. Tennessee, the orange, and Alabama, the crimson, going all the way back to Neyland and Bear Bryant and even before that. But Nick Saban really had very little problem with Tennessee over the last 17 years. But what is Coach DeBoer going to do in this matchup? And that's kind of where we're at as Alabama gets ready to go into this game against Tennessee. All right, the polls are out. And after the win, the struggle 27-25 win over South Carolina, you feel like, well, of course, Alabama is going to drop in the rankings. They're going to fall back. They stayed exactly where they are. I think South Carolina is a good team. Are they a great team? No. But they're a good team, and they're tough, and they'll surprise you if you let them. They played decent football against Alabama. Bama with a lot of unforced errors in the game, but found a way to win, and they stay right at number 7. So after losing to Vandy, before that, they were number 1 after they beat Georgia, and now all of a sudden they're sitting at 7. Tennessee is 11 in the AP poll, and they're 10 in the coaches poll. They dropped 3 spots, even though they beat Florida. And I think people are worried, and the writers anyway, that Tennessee can't block. And that's been one of the issues that they've had. They've got a star quarterback in Nico, and Sampson, the running back, is tough. And Squirrel White is a good wide receiver. But outside of that, they haven't gotten a lot of contributions. And on top of that, Nico's constantly under pressure. So I'm sure that's why Tennessee slid. They only went 1 spot down in the coaches poll from 9 to 10. And they are currently sitting at number 11 in the AP. What does all that mean? I don't know. I mean, I consider it a top 10 matchup, 7 versus 10. I take the coaches more seriously than the AP. I always have. I feel like there's a lot less bias in the coaches poll, and I know it's there than what the writers would have in their poll. But bottom line is this, is at 2:30 Central Time, Saturday, Bama kicks off the Tennessee, and you have one of the best rivalries and a game that's really important to both of these teams. Whoever loses this, their chance to make the college football playoff really sinks down. Tennessee lost to Arkansas Bama lost to Vandy. Bama beats Tennessee, and I think each week's still going to be a struggle for them. They still have a tough schedule, but there's a lot of winnable games after this on the schedule. Matter of fact, I feel like all the games for Alabama are winnable. Tennessee needs this one because they don't have a lot of big matchups left. They do have Georgia, but they don't have a lot of matchups left that could really help lift their schedule. Bama still goes to LSU. That's a big game. They still play in the Iron Bowl, although Auburn isn't a good team this year. They'll be tough against Alabama. So at number 7 in the poll, kind of where Alabama's sitting right now. The poll had a little bit of a shakeup, as you guys know. Texas still number 1, but Oregon beat Ohio State in a 1-point game, and Ohio State slid down, 2 spots and 3 spots, AP and coaches poll, but they're pretty much in the top 5. I don't think that match is with the new playoff format going to hurt Ohio State at all. I mean, they showed up in the game. It wasn't like they were blown out. But it's interesting because Georgia plays Texas this week. And if Georgia beats Texas and Bama beats Tennessee, all of a sudden I think Alabama could be in position to really lift themselves up in the poll again, basically on the strength of that win over Georgia. So we'll see what happens. But this surprised me. Bama is a slight favorite versus Tennessee in Knoxville. 2 points. I've seen it at 1.5. I've seen it at 2.5. So you're talking about right in that general area. And you're asking yourself, now why? Why would Alabama be favorite? You watched Alabama, a lot of mistakes. Milroe kind of holding on to the ball too long. The offensive line not blocking great, getting beat up by South Carolina at the line of scrimmage, but Bama still won the football game. Defensively, up and down for Alabama, a little bit better on third down, still not comfortable. I mean, what are they going to do against Tennessee? Are they going to be able to stop them? Tennessee has their issues, and I'm going to get into those in a second. But when you look at Alabama, it starts with their defense. They've given up over 60 points in their last 6 quarters of action. And really, they've given up 63 points since the second half of the Georgia game. That's a lot of points for Alabama. A lot of yards in there, a lot of third down conversions, fourth down conversions. They couldn't stop Vandy. They couldn't stop Georgia. And, they started to figure it out against South Carolina, but South Carolina not with a dynamic quarterback, someone that can run around a little bit, not a great passer, and they still had trouble with him. Nico's going to be better than South Carolina's quarterback, but the problem that Tennessee has is that their offensive line hasn't done a good job blocking. Oklahoma was in the backfield a lot, forced turnovers, didn't take advantage of them. Then they played this past week against Florida. Graham Mertz was doing a good job against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is pretty solid, and their offense hasn't been as dynamic in the SEC games as it was in the non-conference schedule. So I guess that, the Vegas kind of feels like, Bama's probably slightly better. They have had Tennessee's number, but at the same time, Tennessee won the game there last time. They were up 20-7 at the half last year and blew it. I think Tennessee is going to be ready for this football game, and Alabama better not make the same mistakes that they made last game. And I think that's what this is going to come down to. South Carolina would have beaten Alabama had they not turned the ball over 4 times. Bama turned it over a couple of times. Turnovers have killed Alabama, Vandy, and then South Carolina. But the defense has gotten those turnovers. And I think that for Alabama to win in Knoxville, they're going to have to do the same thing on defense. So we're going to be talking about this a lot throughout the course of the week. I mean, this is kind of just the beginning of what's going to be a huge matchup from a playoff standpoint. And the loser of this game pretty much is out. The winner of this game isn't in, but they have a much easier road to get into the college football playoff. Guys, I want to tell you that the show is always presented by our friends at Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Take advantage of the Timeout Sports Lounge. That is in Golden Moon Casino. Go in there, spend $50, and you can play Dancing Rabbit Golf Course for just $40. It's the Augusta you can play. It is a great course. But you also have table games and slots at Silver Star and Golden Moon. Gary Allen and Scotty McCrary are performing coming up here real soon. Check Pearl River for all the details. but celebrating 30 years at Pearl River Resort. We've had already a huge concert slate as part of that celebration, and it continues. You also have Geyser Falls, which is the water park. You got the spa. You got all that stuff there at Pearl River Resort, and I'm proud to tell you about it and appreciate them. The other thing I want to tell you is that look for a brand new picture. Deuce is Wild. It's from the Georgia game. It's a print with Ryan Williams and Zabian Brown that's coming out. It's going to be really cool. Daniel Moore working on that right now. If you use the promo code Bama Tailgate, you get 20% off the classics, the good stuff. Not the new stuff, but the classics. I got a whole wall of it here. All these Saban prints, the national championships, some of those great moments that you want to have enshrined in your man cave, and you want to pimp it out. Do it the way I've done it with I've got you can't see it right here. I probably should turn this for a second, but I've got every national championship Saban print on the wall here. And then that right there is Antoine. That's Antoine Petway laying it up to beat Florida for the SEC basketball championship back when I was a student. So that's a hard one to get, but I love these things, and I know you do too. It's not just prints though. Anything that they have, calendars, mugs, go to their site, newlifeart.com, use the promo code Bama Tailgate and take advantage of that 20% off. And thank you guys for hanging out. And again, it's going to be a fun week, and roll time.
Escape to Pearl River Resort.